Look at me, stop scrolling, stop drifting for just 1 second and hear me. Your life is passing you by while you keep telling yourself you got time. You don't got time. Every day you waste is a day you never get back. The graveyard is the richest place on earth. Dreams, visions, businesses, inventions, all buried because somebody kept saying tomorrow, tomorrow, but tomorrow never showed up. I need you to understand this. Life don't care about your excuses. Life don't care about your feelings. Life rewards discipline, consistency, sacrifice. You want freedom, you want success, then you got to outwork everybody in the room. You got to want it so bad that your why makes you cry, and then you get up and grind like your future depends on it, because it does. Let me break it down. Your brain is tricking you. It's telling you to play safe. It's telling you to be comfortable. It's telling you take a break. You deserve it. No, that voice is lying to you. That voice wants you average. That voice wants you broke. That voice wants you in the same place 5 years from now, crying about why your life didn't change. You got to kill that voice and replace it with action. Excuses are comfortable. That's why people love them. Excuses let you off the hook. Excuses make you feel good in the moment because they explain why you're not where you want to be. But excuses don't change your life. Work does. Excuses don't pay the bills. Grind does. Excuses don't build wealth. Discipline does. And the dangerous part is if you make excuses long enough, you start to believe them. You start to believe you really can't do it. You start to believe it's impossible. That's how people bury their dreams while they're still alive. I know because I lived it. I used to blame everybody for where I was. I blamed my father for not being there. I blamed the teachers for not caring. I blamed the system for not giving me a fair shot. And yeah, some of that was real. Some of that was true. But here's what I had to realize. The truth doesn't set you free if you use it as a crutch. The truth only sets you free when you take responsibility for what you're going to do about it. I was homeless. I was broke. I was uneducated. And the day everything shifted for me wasn't the day someone came and rescued me. It was the day I decided enough. I can't control what happened to me, but I can control what I do from here. Stop making excuses. Let me say it again because somebody in here needs to hear it louder. Stop making excuses. You keep telling yourself stories, and that's the reason why you're still stuck in the same place you were last year. You've got the same dreams, the same goals, but nothing has changed because every time it gets hard, every time it gets uncomfortable, you find an excuse. I didn't grow up with money. Nobody believes in me. I don't have the resources. I don't know the right people. Listen to me. Those are all excuses. And as long as you're holding on to excuses, you'll never hold on to success. You got to look yourself in the mirror and be honest. That's the hardest part. You can fool your family. You can fool your friends. You can even fool the world, but you can't fool yourself. Deep down, you know when you've been slacking. Deep down, you know when you could have gone harder, but chose comfort instead. Deep down, you know when you quit too soon and then dressed it up with a pretty excuse to make it sound better. Stop lying to yourself. Because as long as you lie to yourself, you'll never grow. I remember failing my GED test. I wanted to give up. I wanted to say, see, I told you, I'm not smart enough. School isn't for me. The system is rigged. But then I caught myself. That was an excuse forming in my mouth, and I had to shut it down. I took ownership. I said, no, I didn't study the way I should have. No, I didn't give it everything I had. And until I do that, I don't get to complain. I went back. I worked harder. I studied, and eventually I passed. Not because it got easier, but because I stopped making excuses and started making adjustments. That's the key. Stop making excuses and start making adjustments. Life is going to throw you challenges. That's guaranteed. But every time you face a challenge, you only have two options, adjust or excuse. The people who adjust grow. The people who excuse stay stuck. Which one are you going to be? Let me make it plain. Every excuse you make is a deposit in the bank of mediocrity. And when the day comes that you want to cash out, you'll realize all you've got is regret. Regret for the chances you didn't take. Regret for the effort you didn't give. Regret for the dreams you let die. That's the real cost of excuses. They steal your future before you even get there. So here's the challenge. Next time you're about to say, I can't, because stop yourself. Cut it off. Change the sentence. Replace it with, I will, even if that shift alone can change your life. I can't because I don't have time becomes I will. Even if I have to wake up earlier, I can't because I don't know how becomes I will. Even if I have to learn from scratch, I can't because I don't have support becomes I will, even if I have to do it alone. That's ownership. That's how you take back control. But when you take ownership, when you stop making excuses, you unlock a new level of power. You start to realize you're not a victim. You're a creator. You start to see that even though you can't control everything, you can control your response. And your response shapes your results. You can be broke today, but if you own it and decide to work, you won't be broke forever. You can be behind today, but if you own it and keep pushing, you'll catch up. You can have pain today, but if you own it and turn it into purpose, that pain will become the fuel for your breakthrough. Stop making excuses, because the only thing standing between you and your dream is you. Listen, life will always give you an excuse if you're looking for one, but it will also give you an opportunity if you're willing to fight for one. The choice is yours. And until you stop making excuses, nothing else I tell you will matter. You'll hear it. You'll get inspired for a moment, and then you'll run back to your comfort zone and hide behind the same story. Don't let that be you. Don't let your excuses write the ending of your story. It's time to kill the excuses. It's time to own your life. Nobody else is coming to do it for you. Nobody else is going to hand you success. Nobody else is going to put in the work. It's you. It's always been you. And the moment you realize that, the moment you take full responsibility, that's the moment everything changes. You got to find that for yourself. Because let me keep it real with you. Pain will knock at your door every single day. And if you don't have a reason that keeps you going, you'll fold. You'll start projects and never finish. You'll talk about dreams but never manifest them. You'll live in cycles of almost and nearly's, all because your why wasn't strong enough. Everybody in this room has pain. Don't you dare think you're the only one. Pain is universal. Some of you are going through pain right now. Financial pain, relationship pain, mental pain, physical pain. You wake up and it feels heavy. You go to bed and it's still there. But let me tell you something straight. Pain by itself won't break you. What breaks you is when your why is weaker than your pain. Because when your why isn't strong enough, every little obstacle feels like a mountain. But when your why is unshakable, when your why burns deep inside your chest, you can walk through fire and still keep moving. See, people ask me all the time, how did you make it through? How did you go from being homeless, eating out of trash cans, to speaking to millions? It wasn't because I was the smartest. It wasn't because I had the most money because I did it. It wasn't because I had connections. The truth is, I only had one thing, a why that was stronger than my pain. My why was survival. My why was proving to myself that my father walking out didn't mean I was worthless. My why was making sure the kids in my neighborhood saw somebody make it out. My why was my family, my wife, my kids. That why kept me from giving up when everything else told me I should. I remember those nights when I wanted to quit school, sitting there in class with people younger than me, embarrassed because I didn't know the answers, frustrated because I thought I wasn't smart enough. The pain was real. My pride was hurt. My body was tired. But then I remembered my why. I remembered the promise I made to my mom. I remembered the promise I made to myself that I would never go back to living in abandoned buildings, never go back to being the man people looked at like a failure. That why gave me the strength to endure the pain of studying, the pain of embarrassment, the pain of long nights, and eventually the why outweighed the pain. That's when you win, when the why outweighs the pain. Let me ask you right now, what's your why? Don't give me some shallow answer. Don't say, oh, I just want to be rich. Money's not a strong enough why, because the moment it gets tough, and it will, the idea of money won't get you out of bed. It won't keep you grinding at 3 a.m. It won't help you push when your body wants to quit. But if your why is your kids, if your why is changing your family tree, if your why is creating something so your last name means something when you're gone, then when pain shows up, you'll look it in the face and say, you can't stop me. I'm seeing people quit because of pain, and I've seen people grow because of pain. The difference is the why. When you've got a strong why, pain becomes fuel. You take that heartbreak, that rejection, that failure, and you use it as firewood for your grind. You say, thank you for the pain, because now I'm stronger. Thank you for the pain, because now I'm hungrier. Thank you for the pain, because now I'm more focused. But without a why, pain just feels like punishment. And when life feels like punishment, you'll stop showing up. Let me give it to you straight. The pain will never disappear. Stop waiting for it to get easier. It doesn't. What changes is you up. What changes is your why. If your why is strong enough, it won't matter how heavy the weight is, you'll carry it. If your why is strong enough, it won't matter how dark it gets. You'll keep walking. If your why is strong enough, it won't matter who leaves you, who doubts you, who laughs at you. You'll still show up because you know deep in your soul you weren't built to break. I know somebody listening to me right now is at the edge. You've been crying yourself to sleep. You've been thinking about quitting. You've been wondering if it's even worth it anymore. And I'm here to tell you it is, but only if you find your why. Only if you get clear on what you're fighting for, because once you have that, quitting won't be an option anymore. Quitting will feel like betraying your purpose. And that's why I'm standing here right now. Not because I didn't have pain, but because I had a why that was greater than my pain. So I want you to stop running from your pain. Start asking yourself, what is this pain trying to teach me? What is this pain trying to push me toward? Let your why transform the pain into power. Every single morning you wake up, you are given the most valuable currency in the world, time. The question is, what do you do with it? Most of you, the first thing you do is roll over, grab your phone, scroll through somebody else's life before you've even started your own. You wake up already distracted. You wake up reacting to the world instead of creating your world. And then you wonder why you're stuck, why you're unfulfilled, why nothing seems to change. Because when you find that why, when you lock into it, nothing, no pain, no setback, no failure can stop you. And that's the moment everything in your life begins to change. Pain is temporary, but your why is eternal. Let that be the reason you never quit. You've got to start waking up with intention, because if you don't, distractions will eat you alive. The enemy of success isn't always laziness, it's distraction. It's death by 1,000 little cuts. You think you only spent 5 minutes checking notifications, but those 5 minutes turn into 30. That 30 turns into an hour. Before you know it, the time you needed to build your dream has been stolen by endless scrolling, meaningless conversations, and chasing things that don't matter. I learned this the hard way. When I was younger, I used to wake up late, just drifting into the day. No structure, no focus. I let life dictate to me what was important instead of me deciding. And guess what? Life didn't care about my goals. Life filled my time with chaos, with problems, with distractions. I was always behind, always catching up, always exhausted. It wasn't until I started waking up with intention that everything shifted. Now, when I wake up, I don't just open my eyes. I open my purpose. I decide before the sun comes up who I'm going to be that day, what I'm going to attack, what I'm going to finish. I don't let the world set my agenda. I set it for myself. That's what separates successful people from everybody else. They don't leave their mornings to chance. They don't wake up hoping to stumble into greatness. They wake up with a plan, with discipline, with clarity. You've got to start taking control of your morning. Stop waiting until the chaos of the day hits you. Stop living life on defense. Wake up early enough to be alone with your thoughts, to map out your moves, to fuel your spirit before the world starts demanding pieces of you. If you can win your morning, you can win your day. And if you can stack enough winning days, you can change your life. I remember when I was writing my first book, do you know how many times I wanted to pick up the phone? Do you know how many times I wanted to turn on the TV? Distractions were calling my name every 5 minutes. But I made a decision. My why was stronger than my distractions. I wasn't about to let cheap entertainment rob me of the opportunity to impact lives. So I put the phone down. I locked in. I woke up every morning with a clear intention. Write until it's done. Write until I've created something that will outlive me. That focus turned into a book. That book turned into impact, and that impact turned into opportunities. That wouldn't have happened if I kept waking up distracted. But I get it. Some of you don't see the problem because you think distractions are harmless. What's a few minutes on TikTok? What's a few hours of Netflix? But let me ask you this. What did you build in those hours? What did you create in those minutes? Because every single scroll, every single binge is stealing from your future. You're trading your destiny for entertainment. You're trading your legacy for likes. And the saddest part, most of you are more invested in watching someone else live their dream than building your own. So what about you? Are you waking up to win, or are you waking up to wander? Are you waking up with intention, or are you waking up to consume? You've got to answer that honestly, because the gap between where you are and where you want to be is often filled with wasted mornings. Here's the truth. Intention requires sacrifice. It means getting up earlier when everybody else is still asleep. It means putting down the phone when everybody else is scrolling. It means doing the boring, disciplined stuff, planning, journaling, studying, praying, training while the rest of the world is distracted. but that sacrifice pays you back tenfold. You start seeing clarity where there used to be confusion. You start seeing momentum where there used to be stagnation. You start living with direction instead of drifting. If you want to change your life, stop wasting your mornings. Stop handing the first and best part of your day over to distractions. Instead, wake up and declare, this is my day. This is my time. This is my moment. Attack your goals before the world attacks you. Pour into your dream before you pour into somebody else's timeline. Build your future before you consume someone else's highlight reel. Because listen to me, if you keep waking up distracted, you live your whole life distracted. And at the end, you look back and realize you never actually lived. But if you wake up with intention, every single morning becomes a brick you lay toward the life you were meant to build. And eventually you look up and see a foundation so strong that no distraction in the world can knock it down. Everybody loves motivation. It's exciting, it's emotional, it's hype. Motivation feels good. But let me tell you the truth. Motivation is temporary. It fades. It comes and goes. Motivation is like a spark. It can light a fire, but if you don't feed it, that fire dies out. And this is why so many of you start strong, but don't finish. You get hyped up on Monday, but by Thursday, you're tired. You're distracted. You're making excuses. And because you were depending on motivation, you quit. The way you wake up sets the tone for everything. So stop waking up distracted and start waking up with intention because your future depends on it. That's why discipline will always be greater than motivation. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a decision. Motivation asks, do I feel like it today? Discipline says, it doesn't matter how I feel, I'm going to do it anyway. Motivation waits for inspiration. Discipline creates results whether inspiration shows up or not. And results are what build success, not feelings. Let me make it real. When I first started grinding, I didn't have cameras following me. I didn't have people clapping for me. I didn't have crowds waiting to hear me. There were mornings when I didn't want to get up. There were nights I wanted to sleep instead of work. But discipline got me out of bed. Discipline pushed me when motivation wasn't there. Discipline told me, you made a commitment, now honor it. And those small acts of discipline, repeated over and over, built the life I'm living now. You got to understand discipline is the bridge between your dream and your reality. Everybody has dreams. Everybody has goals. But the ones who actually achieve them are the ones who can show up day after day, whether they feel like it or not. You can't build wealth. You can't build success. You can't build anything lasting if you only work when you feel good. That's why most people stay stuck. They confuse being motivated with being committed. Think about an athlete. You think they always feel like training? You think they always feel like sticking to the diet, lifting the weights, running the drills? Absolutely not. But discipline makes them do it. Discipline gets them up at 5 a.m. when their body is screaming to stay in bed. Discipline keeps them locked in when everybody else is partying. That's why they win championships. That's why they break records. Not because they were motivated every day, but because they were disciplined every day. And let's be honest, discipline isn't glamorous. Nobody's applauding you when you're sitting alone in a library studying. Nobody's giving you likes when you're sacrificing sleep to work on your craft. Nobody's cheering when you choose to invest instead of spending on something flashy. But that's exactly where greatness is built, in the quiet, in the unseen, in the disciplined decisions nobody else is willing to make. I remember nights when I had to choose between going out with friends or staying home to grind. Everything in me wanted to go out. The fun was calling my name. But I had to remind myself, do you want fun tonight or do you want freedom tomorrow? And that choice over and over again built my discipline. Today I can enjoy freedom because yesterday I chose discipline. That's the exchange you have to make short-term comfort for long-term growth. And here's the psychology behind it. Your brain is wired for comfort. It doesn't want discipline. It wants safety, pleasure, relaxation. That's why you can't rely on feelings. If you wait until you feel like it, you'll never do it. You have to rewire your brain by acting before the feeling. Discipline trains your mind to obey your commitments instead of your emotions. It teaches you to control your actions instead of being controlled by your moods. I've seen people build businesses, not because they were the most talented, but because they were the most disciplined. I've seen students graduate, not because they were the smartest, but because they were the most disciplined. I've seen people transform their bodies, not because they had the best genetics, but because they were the most disciplined. That's the formula. Discipline beats talent. Discipline beats intelligence. Discipline beats motivation every time. Some of you keep asking, how do I stay motivated? Wrong question. The right question is, how do I become disciplined? Because if you get discipline right, you don't need motivation. Discipline becomes your muscle memory. Discipline becomes your rhythm. Discipline becomes who you are. And when that happens, nothing can stop you because you're not relying on inspiration. You're relying on identity. So here's my challenge. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop saying, I'll do it when I feel like it. Start building discipline today. Wake up earlier. Stick to the schedule. Keep the promise you made to yourself, even when it hurts. And watch what happens. Your life will change. Not because you were motivated for a moment, but because you were disciplined for a lifetime. Motivation will spark the fire, but discipline will keep it burning. Choose discipline, and you shall never have to worry about running out of fuel. At the end of the day, motivation may get you started, but discipline is what keeps you going. Discipline is what carries you through the days when everything in you wants to quit. Discipline is what turns your dreams into reality. And if you want success that lasts, if you want wealth, freedom, impact, you've got to stop chasing motivation and start mastering discipline. Everybody wants wealth. Everybody wants freedom. Everybody wants that next level of life. But let's keep it 100. Most people don't want to pay the price. They want the reward without the sacrifice. They want the destination without the journey. They want the crown without carrying the cross. And I'm telling you, that's not how it works. Wealth is not built on comfort. Wealth is built on sacrifice. I'll give you an example. When I was starting my grind, there were nights I wanted to sleep like everybody else. There were times I wanted to go out, eat good, relax. But I had to remind myself, the people who play now, they're going to pay later. And the people who pay now, they're going to play later. That's the law. You can't cheat it. So while my friends were partying, I was working while they were buying things to look rich. I was investing my time and energy into actually becoming rich. That's the sacrifice. Think about it. Everybody you admire, every success story you've ever seen, every person you call great, they didn't get there because life was easy. They didn't get there because they chose comfort. They sacrificed. They gave up sleep. They gave up fun. They gave up distractions. They gave up excuses. Sacrifice is the foundation. Without it, you can't build nothing. Look at the athlete grinding before sunrise. That's sacrifice. Look at the entrepreneur reinvesting every dollar back into the business instead of buying something shiny. That's sacrifice. Look at the student studying while everybody else is sleeping. That's sacrifice. And every single one of those sacrifices is a brick in the foundation of wealth. But here's where most people get stuck. They want both. They want comfort and wealth. They want to eat whatever they want and still have the body of an athlete. They want to spend every dollar and still have financial freedom. They want to waste hours and still live their dreams. It doesn't work like that. You can't have both. You got to choose. And if you don't choose, life will choose for you. And it will always choose sacrifice on your behalf because you'll pay either way. You'll pay the price of discipline and sacrifice now, or you'll pay the price of regret and struggle later. See, comfort is seductive. Comfort whispers. You can rest a little longer. You can spend a little more. You can take it easy. But comfort is a liar. Comfort will trap you. Comfort will keep you average. Comfort will kill your potential. Sacrifice, on the other hand, hurts in the moment, but it pays forever. Sacrifice is giving up what you want now for what you want most. And if you can make that trade, you'll win every single time. And let me break this down psychologically. Your brain is designed to avoid pain. Sacrifice feels painful. It feels like you're losing, but you're not losing, you're planting. You're planting seeds that don't grow overnight. And the reason so many people quit is because they confuse planting with losing. They think they're missing out. But when the harvest comes, when the fruit shows up, you realize every sacrifice was worth it. I'll never forget when I was coming up, I had to choose between buying new clothes, new shoes, or investing in my dream. And I chose my dream. I wore the same outfits over and over again while I was saving money to make things happen. People laughed, people talked, but I stayed focused. And you know what? Years later, those same people were asking me for opportunities. Why? Because I was willing to sacrifice comfort for purpose. The wealthy don't think like the average. The average think, what can I get right now? The wealthy think, what can I build for later? That's the mindset shift. That's the reason most people stay broke. They keep trading their future for their present. They sacrifice tomorrow for today. But the ones who make it, the ones who change their families forever, they do the opposite. They sacrifice today for tomorrow. So when you wake up tomorrow, ask yourself, are you chasing comfort or are you choosing sacrifice? Are you feeding your future or are you feeding your feelings? Because one will keep you stuck and the other will set you free. And let's be real, sacrifice is lonely. It's not glamorous. Nobody's clapping for you while you're cutting back. Nobody's cheering for you when you're eating cheap meals, grinding long nights, investing instead of spending. But that's the test. Can you handle being misunderstood? Can you handle being laughed at? Can you handle being uncomfortable long enough to step into the life you said you wanted? I'm telling you, comfort will cost you more than sacrifice ever will. Comfort will cost you your dreams, your potential, your legacy. Sacrifice will cost you some sleep, some pleasure, some convenience, but it will give you freedom. It will give you wealth. It will give you peace. That's the trade. At the end of the day, you don't build wealth by doing what feels good. You build wealth by doing what's necessary, even when it hurts. You build wealth by sacrificing what's easy so you can live what's possible. And if you can embrace that, if you can learn to love the sacrifice, then you'll discover the kind of wealth that not only changes your life, but changes your family for generations. You think wealth is about you. That's where you've been fooled. Real wealth ain't about you. It's about your children, your children's children, and the people who come after you. Real wealth is generational. See, too many people are thinking about today, this weekend, this paycheck, this moment, but the wealthy are thinking decades ahead. They're playing chess while you're still playing checkers. They're not just buying for themselves. They're building for the bloodline. Sacrifice now so you can celebrate later, because comfort may feel good today, but sacrifice will bless you forever. Let me be real. Poverty is generational, but so is wealth. And if nobody in your family has broken that cycle yet, maybe you're the one. Maybe it's on you to shift the culture, to break the curse, to flip the script. But here's the thing. It won't happen if you keep thinking small, if you keep thinking selfish, if you keep thinking about your next outfit or your next night out instead of your kid's future. See, the wealthy are teaching their children the rules of the game before the children can even walk. They're teaching discipline, money management, ownership, investments before the kid can spell his own name. Meanwhile, most of us aren't even talking about wealth at the dinner table. We're not passing down knowledge. We're not passing down assets. We're passing down debt, fear, and struggle. And then we wonder why the cycle repeats. When I was broke, it wasn't just me who suffered. My family suffered. My kids felt it. They had to go without. That's when it hit me. It's not just about me grinding for my own freedom. It's about building something that will outlive me. I realized I couldn't just be focused on my needs. I had to build for my bloodline. Because let's be real, when you leave this earth, nobody cares how many shoes you had. Nobody cares what car you drove. What matters is what you left behind. Did you leave bills or did you leave blessings? I had to look in the mirror and ask myself, am I going to be the one who keeps the cycle going, or am I going to be the one who breaks it? And that's the question you got to ask yourself tonight. Are you going to let your kids start from zero like you did? Are you going to let them suffer through the same struggles, or are you going to put them ahead so when they step into the game, they're already winning? Let me give you a practical example. When I started earning more, the first thing I thought about wasn't the car or the clothes. It was life insurance, college funds, investments. Why? Because I didn't want my kids to feel the same pressure I felt. I didn't want them to start from the bottom like I did. And don't get me twisted. I'm not saying make it easy for them. I'm saying give them a foundation. Give them a platform to start higher, to go further, to dream bigger. That's generational wealth. You got to understand this. Every decision you make either builds or breaks your legacy. Every dollar you spend is either wealth you're creating or wealth you're destroying. Every habit you keep is either passing down blessings or passing down curses. That's why I tell you, you can't just think about yourself. You got to think about the ones coming after you. Because if you don't, who will? Because here's the truth. You can't pass down excuses. You can't pass down laziness. You can't pass down lost start tomorrow. But you can't pass down knowledge. You can't pass down values. You can't pass down a house, a business, an account, a vision. And when your kids see that, when they inherit not just money, but the mentality that creates money, that's when you've truly built wealth. And I get it. You might say, but I don't make much right now. That's fine. Generational wealth doesn't start with millions. It starts with discipline. It starts with you learning how to manage what you have. It starts with you teaching your kids about money, about work ethic, about ownership. It starts with you saving when everybody else is spending. It starts with you shifting the mindset in your household. Now let me hit you with this. Somebody in your family already paid the price for you to be where you are. They sacrificed. They suffered. They worked jobs they hated so you could have opportunities. The question is, are you going to waste their sacrifice or are you going to multiply it? Because that's what generational wealth is. It's multiplying the sacrifices of those before you, so the ones after you don't have to start from scratch. I need you to feel the weight of this. Your last name is on the line. Your children's children will either thank you or curse you. They'll either inherit freedom or chains. And the decisions you make today decide which one it's going to be. So stop thinking small. Stop thinking about survival. Stop thinking about just getting by. Start thinking about empire. Start thinking about inheritance. Start thinking about what your grandchildren will say when they speak your name. At the end of the day, wealth requires a generational mindset. And if you can shift from me to we, from now to later, from survival to legacy, then you'll unlock a level of wealth that money can't measure, because it won't just be about what you built, but about what you left. Don't seek, just live for today. Live in a way that your grandchildren will thank you for tomorrow. Let me tell you why most people will never experience true wealth, because they think working hard on a job is enough. And don't get me wrong, work ethic is everything. Discipline, showing up, giving 120%, that's the foundation. But if all you're doing is trading time for money, you're stuck. You don't own anything. You don't control anything. You're building someone else's dream while your own sits on the shelf collecting dust. Listen to me, your boss will never pay you enough to be his neighbor. Let that sink in. You can work 40, 50, 60 hours a week and grind until your back hurts, but if it all goes into someone else's system, you'll always be capped. The wealthy, they don't just labor, they own. They own the business, they own the land, they own the ideas, they own the brand. And ownership is what creates freedom. I remember when I was grinding at jobs, I didn't love putting in all the effort and still broke. I thought hard work alone would get me out. But one day it hit me. I was giving my all to a system that wasn't designed to make me rich. I was renting my time, not building equity. That's when I realized if I wanted wealth, I had to shift from being a worker to being an owner. Let me make this practical. Think about music. The artist who sings the song gets paid, sure, but the one who owns the masters, that's the person eating for decades. That's why you see artists fighting to own their music, because they realize it's not about just performing, it's about owning what you create. Same goes for athletes. You can get a check while you're playing, but when your body gives out, if you didn't invest, if you didn't own something, you're back at zero. Ownership doesn't mean you have to start with millions. Ownership starts small. You can own your own hustle, your own business, your own ideas. You can own your story, your creativity, your skills. You can own real estate, stocks, digital products, something that pays you while you sleep. That's the difference between labor and wealth. Wealth works for you even when you're not working. Because here's the truth. Wealth is not just money in the bank, it's control over your life. And you'll never have control if every dollar you earn depends on somebody else's decision to keep you around. Ownership gives you leverage. Ownership gives you freedom. Ownership gives you the ability to pass something down. You can't pass down a job. You can't leave your 9-to-5 to your kids, but you can leave them land. You can leave them a business. You can leave them stocks, a brand, a company, an empire. Some of you got skills right now. You can cook, you can design, you can speak, you can write, but instead of turning that into ownership, you're trading it to build someone else's dream. And that's fine to start, but at some point you got to ask, when am I going something for myself? Let me be real with you. This world wasn't designed for laborers to be free. It was designed for owners to win. And you don't have to like it, but you do have to learn it. Because once you understand the rules of the game, you stop being a pawn and start being a player. I had to take that leap. I had to stop renting my talent out to the highest bidder and start building my own. And it wasn't easy. It meant sleepless nights. It meant failing. It meant learning. It meant starting over. But guess what? Every step got me closer to ownership, and every bit of ownership got me closer to freedom. Now, I know some of you are scared. Ownership feels risky. You're thinking, what if I fail? What if I lose? Let me flip it. What if you succeed? What if you own something that sets your family free? What if the risk is the very thing that unlocks your next level? Let me ask you this. How's not owning working for you? How's playing it safe working for you? If playing safe hasn't built your wealth yet, maybe it's time to play bold. And here's the crazy part. Once you own, people respect you differently. Opportunities open differently. You think different, you stop asking for permission, and you start making decisions. Ownership changes your psychology. It takes you from survival mode to legacy mode. And let me tell you something. Ownership doesn't just change you. It changes your kids, your family, your circle. Because when they see you owning, they realize it's possible. When they inherit what you built, they don't just get money, they get confidence, they get vision, they get a head start. Because at the end of the day, hard work will keep you alive, but ownership will set you free. So I need you to stop thinking like a laborer and start thinking like an owner. Stop just clocking in and start building something that can't be taken away. Don't just trade your time. Multiply your time by creating assets that grow while you're not looking. That's how wealth is built. Not in hours worked, but in ownership earned. If you want true wealth, stop just working in the system. Start owning the system. Listen to me. Success has a cost. Wealth has a price tag. And it's not always money. Sometimes the cost is time. Sometimes the cost is energy. Sometimes the cost is saying no to the people you love because you're locked in on a bigger goal. Sometimes the cost is isolation because not everybody will understand why you're grinding while they're chilling. But the question is, are you willing to pay it? Everybody in here wants wealth. Everybody wants success. Everybody wants freedom, but not everybody is willing to pay the price. You want the lifestyle, but you don't want the sacrifice. You want the car, the house, the freedom to travel, but you don't want to give up sleep. You don't want to give up Netflix. You don't want to give up those weekends partying with your friends. And that's the problem, because wealth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from sacrifice. That's the truth. Most people don't want to face. If you don't sacrifice for your dream becomes the sacrifice. And if you're not careful, you'll wake up one day old, tired, and full of regret because you chose easy when life was calling you to go hard. Let me give it to you straight. You can't have a millionaire lifestyle with a minimum wage mindset. You can't want to be wealthy and still live like you're average. Wealthy people don't build their empires on comfort. They build it on sacrifice. They give up what's good to get to what's great. They give up sleep so they can study. They give up leisure so they can invest. They give up today so their tomorrow can be bigger. I had to learn this the hard way. I used to think I could balance it all. I thought I could give half to my dream and half to my comfort and somehow still win. But every time I chose comfort, I delayed my breakthrough. Every time I chose comfort, I stayed broke another year. And one day I had to make a decision. Either I'm going to sacrifice now and live later, or I'm going to live comfortable now and sacrifice forever. And don't get it twisted. Sacrifice doesn't mean suffering forever. Sacrifice means temporary discipline for permanent gain. I tell people all the time, I would rather sacrifice 5 years grinding than sacrifice the next 50 years wishing. What's harder, giving up comfort for a season or living a lifetime in struggle because you never paid the price? Some of you want to start a business, but you're scared to cut back on spending. You want to invest, but you're not willing to give up buying stuff you don't need. You want to be wealthy, but you're still living for instant gratification instead of long-term gain. That's not how wealth works. Wealth requires delayed gratification. It requires discipline. It requires sacrifice. Think about an athlete. You see the glory on the field, but you don't see the sacrifice behind it. The hours in the gym when nobody's watching. The strict diets, the injuries they push through. That's sacrifice, and that's why they get to live a lifestyle most people dream about. The question is, are you willing to sacrifice like that for your own dreams? I remember when I was broke, hustling, trying to make ends meet, and I had to decide, do I spend money on looking good or do I invest in my dream? Do I buy new clothes to impress people who don't care, or do I save that money for a future that will change everything? I had to sacrifice the image for the impact, and because I sacrificed then, I get to live differently now. But let me warn you, sacrifice isn't sexy. Nobody's going to clap for you when you say no to going out. Nobody's going to cheer for you when you stay home and study instead of wasting time. Nobody's going to post about your sacrifices. But the day your sacrifice turns into wealth, the day your grind turns into freedom, everybody will call you lucky. They'll say you changed. No, you didn't change. You sacrificed. So I need you to shift your mindset. Stop asking, what am I losing? And start asking, what am I gaining? Because every sacrifice is an investment. Every hour you put in now pays you back later with interest. Every dollar you don't waste now multiplies when you invest it. Every night you stay focused. Instead of distracted, you're building wealth. You're building freedom. You're building a future your kids will thank you for.